When you started this role, I'm going to ask you 3 words to describe the academy system as you found it.
Chaotic. That's a good question. Yeah, definitely chaotic. Good people.
That's 2 words.
Is it?
One more.
Can't put people in though, can I? Yeah, chaotic, good people. Energy.
Going back to when the job role came up, there was a vacancy, you applied for it. What was it about this position that enticed you to apply?
I thought I could make a difference. I were here previously as scholarship head coach, and I'd sort of work under a little bit under John Bastian, a little bit under Lee Beater. And I remember sort of John Bastian saying at one point, you know, who's going to be the next head of youth within this organisation, and it sort of resonated with me, where I felt I could probably see myself doing that role.
You got the job, you take an overview of everything that's going on. What were your main objectives at that point?
Number one objective was to get the elite academy licence back. You know, we were in probationary period and probationary status, and that was just my clear objective. It were number one priority out of everything.
What were the main challenges you found once you were given that objective? You started, you got your feet under the table. What were the main challenges you faced and had to overcome?
I think having a person in place purely looking at that role and just being a pure head of youth were key. The objectives were to, you know, there was some low-hanging fruit that needed to get fixed up, qualifications, making sure we had the right people in the right roles and they were suitably qualified, and making sure that we had just some guidance in and around the environment, and making sure that, you know, people had the opportunity to purely focus on their role and their role only, and do the best. You know, my job is to ensure that the staff had everything in, every sort of tool they needed to go out and do their job to the best of their ability.
So that first 6 to 7 months before the licence was reviewed, what was done in that period? What did you identify? What did you implement that led to the decision ultimately in May 2023?
Infrastructure. We needed some processes in place. We needed some clear guidance as to what we were trying to achieve and how we needed to get there. You know, player care were a big thing, so we needed a clear objective from our player welfare manager, Jill Elam, to come in and set some things in place. We needed development tools and making sure we were holding reviews and making sure players were clear on what they needed to do to improve and what staff needed to do to improve them, but making sure that everyone had the qualifications in place. Yeah, there were a lot of things, but it were quite a clear process because, you know, you had some guidance. You know, there were already things in place, just probably hadn't been managed too well at the time. So I was quite when I first came in, like I say, I knew what the environment were like. I knew I could make some changes. I knew I could make some positive changes to get to where we needed to be at that point, just to get that licence back.
7th of May 2023, you get the green light, you get the thumbs up. You spoke earlier on in this interview, you came and you felt you could make a difference. That was ultimately the perfect endorsement. You have made a difference, the elite licence was back. Just tell us a bit about your emotions around that time, really. You came in to make a difference, and I know how much the city and the club means to you. That must have been a really gratifying feeling to have achieved that.
It was massive. It was very nervous, you know, waiting for that call, really. You know, what do we have? 85 kids in the building, 85, you know, under 15, 16s, 18 young adults, a number of staff, whether it's strength and conditioning, head coaches, nutritionists, sports psychologists, a lot of people who love to come into this building were riding on that one decision. So yeah, it was a very stressful point, but yeah, the elation and the joy that, you know, when we did get that, it was like, that's one job done, right, what's next? We need to make sure that we're not just a suitably adequate environment. We want to be an outstanding environment, and one that, you know, we've put the academy graduates on the board and on the walls. That you've got your Elliot Whitehead, your John Bateman's, your James Donaldsons, your Sam Burgesses. How do we get back to that stage of developing them type of players? So that were straight away. I think, you know, speaking of, I watched a Sean Wayne high performance podcast, and he said he can never really enjoy the wins because it's always what's next. So we enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, we enjoyed that we'd ticked the box and made sure that we were a suitably adequate environment, but we were straight on to, right, what's next and how do we make it better.
You clearly had a vision for what post-elite licence looked like in your view in terms of the development of the academy. What have we seen since then? You know, I've noticed a lot of analysts coming on board, nutritionists, psychologists. Just on what scale are we talking when we've looked at people coming into the building to assist where we didn't have that previously?
Well, there's obviously gaps in knowledge. You know, we've got a strength and conditioner who generally in the past has been looking after a lot of our nutritional needs, and whether it's game day prep, and we've had partnerships with universities and bits and pieces like that. When we've got a nutritionist in who's in at every session now, it's very much detailed to that individual, and everyone will get a set plan for their needs and requirements. Sports psychology were a big one. You know, we're often underdog mentality, and making sure that we deal with them pressures, and the kids can deal with them pressures when they go out onto a field. And it was just, you know, I had a vision of what an elite academy should look like, and all them things that we've now brought in, and that we haven't rushed out and gone into, no, we need that. It's important that the right person comes into the building and the right person offers some value to us, and we offer value to the person. And I think we've got to that environment now. And we're still some way off seeing the actual results of what we're doing now. But I believe firmly that we've got the right people in the building to you know, give kids ultimately the best opportunity to improve and progress in their rugby league career.
Speaking of people coming into the building, leads us seamlessly onto the next question. We've got Nathan Graham, Brendan Sheridan, two high quality coaches who've come into the academy system. We've obviously got Jonathan Schofield, we have Glenn Morrison. There's players who are coming from North Wales, Lancashire to come and play for this academy. So do you feel the Bradford Bulls Academy has regained its attractiveness?
I think so. I think we're still some way off, don't get me wrong. Now we'll continue to recruit the best players available. That's what we want to do ultimately, and the best people available. Now we are getting to a stage now where we're getting to that point where, right, what's his next step now? Continuously striving to move forward, but the people that we've got into the building, the coaching staff and the staff in general, whether it's volunteers, they're outstanding. The work they do is unbelievable, and it enables me to just sit back and continue to monitor and look how we can progress and move forward and make changes. And but the work that they're doing day in, day out is unreal. But yeah, we're getting to a stage now where we're recruiting really, really good players, and our talent ID scouts who are continuously working out in the community game to look at what talent's out there. They're continuously moving forward and getting our name out there, and I'm really proud of the work we're doing in that area.
We can't talk about the academy, the pathway system, without mentioning Bull Builder and Bulls Next Gen, two initiatives that can support youth development at the Bradford Bulls. How important are those fan groups, the schemes, the donations to the development? Because ultimately, that elite licence might not be attainable without the support people there.
No, certainly not. Yeah, certainly, you know, the support that I've received from both Bulls Next Gen members and the Bull Builder board and the members of that has been unreal. I didn't, to be honest, as a Bulls fan and even working for the foundation, I didn't know really where they sat and what they did, and some people see them as the official charity and others like that, and I kind of realised the value of them as soon as I stepped into the head of youth role. The support that they offer is absolutely outstanding, whether it's supporting players who've been recognised through international game, whether it's providing backpacks, whether it's providing nutrition for all our academy players, whether it's team building sessions, you know, a trip to the Marines camp. They'll provide transport, trips to Bridlington, trips to Yorkshire Free Peaks. Yeah, it's absolutely outstanding, and the support that they give is so valuable to this organisation.
You mentioned Saturday earlier, there's a roll of honour on the corridors here at Son with players who've come through the academy to make their debuts for the club. Jacob Bateman's obviously the last name on there from 2024. All this work that's been done in the last 3 years, how confident are you that there's going to be another long list of names still to be added to that board in the years to come?
Oh yeah, very confident, very confident. You know, we've got lads coming through, such as your Cam Bates, your Alfie Leaks, Jacob Bateman, Jamie Gill, Sam Ackroyd's. They're all progressing very nicely, and it's important that we bleed them in at the right time. You know, the first team is a highly competitive arena, but it's about their journey and making sure that we nurture and push and provide support where needed, but also you know, likes of Jamie Gill's getting great experience in League One, Sam Ackroyd's doing the same, but there's another crop underneath that to come through and push them to better things. So you know, they'll get they'll get the recognition and they'll get the names on the board when they deserve it, but that'll be down to them and you know, the work that they put in. But I'm confident that there'll be some more names coming up on there shortly.
You mentioned a list of names there. Most recently, of course, it was Cam Bates. He turned down the Super League interest close to home to stay here. I know how much of a boost that was for you and the academy as a whole. Just tell us a bit about that process and what that feeling was when ultimately, you know, Cam and his family turned around and said this was the place to be.
Yeah, again, nervous times. You know, really like Cam and his family as people first and foremost. I've been speaking to Cam quite a bit around what his education were looking like. You know, he's a bright kid who wants to go to university, and that we're playing him where he's sat in our system. You know, he's like I say, he's a bright kid, and we didn't want to put too much on him from a rugby league perspective with his education moving forward. But as soon as we'd no, like I said, I spoke to Cam, and as soon as he'd highlighted that his need to, or his will to want to stay at Bradford Bulls, you know, we'd been speaking, and then the conversation came from a like I say, Super League head of youth who were interested in bringing Cam to his club. So yeah, Cam spoke to them, spoke to us, spoke to what they had to offer and what we wanted at Cam and how we saw his progression at Bradford Bulls. And yeah, it were nervous times because you know, for a young kid to, you know, we are a part-time championship club, and to turn down a Super League club and a Super League of that standing club, it were a big deal for us as a club to finally get Cam over that line and into a professional environment such as yourself. So yeah, very, you know, massively delighted. You know, he's a great kid and he's a good person, a good family, like I say, and it's down to him. You know, the work that he's put in has been unreal. The little 1%ers that he does, he looks after his nutrition, he looks after his body, he does everything that's asked of him, and it's massively rewarding for me as an head of youth, and for Jonathan Schofield as head coach to see kids get the rewards from the work that they're putting. Ultimately,
we spoke earlier about the attractiveness of the academy potentially coming back. We're on that journey. There's probably no greater endorsement than an up-and-coming player saying Bradford is the best place for him over a top Super League club, which it was close to home. So that is almost a perfect endorsement for the work you and everyone else have been doing to build this culture here.
100%. Like I say, we're massively a boost in the arm. You know, sometimes thinking, is it going to be? Is our environment going to be strong enough to keep that person here? And it sort of gives you that massive boost in the arm, and for the environment and for the club to say we've held off that sort of competition, and Cam sees his future at Bradford Bulls, and we see his future at Bradford Bulls. We want him to be playing first team, we want him to be progressing, and that'll come in time, and I'm sure it will come. You know, because he's a kid who's diligent, he works hard and takes on advice and continues to strive to get better.
We sit here 2 years down the line from that elite licence returning. What's next? What's the Ryan Hunkin vision and mission for the Bradford Bulls pathway?
Yeah, there's a number of things to come on and strive forward. As I said, as talent and recruitment's going really well, but that's an area that we're looking in and making sure that we we're doing everything we can to attract the best players within the local region and further afield. Talent transfers, we're looking at people outside of the sport who want to try and attract into the sport. Our Bulls talent pathway, you know, the enrichment side of things, but leading to performance is growing. So yeah, there's a number of things on the horizon, partnerships with universities and colleges and bits and pieces like that. So an increasing in staff, you know, we want to increase our staff, we want to build our environment and continue to strive forward and push forward and push the boundaries as to what we're capable of.
And when the interview how I started it, 3 words to describe the academy pathway system. How do you find it now?
Oh, vibrant, yeah, fun, and challenging.